Hey, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome to this video where I'll be sharing 5 memo techniques, 5 memo tips that you can use in your blind solving. I get this asked a lot. I know blinders get asked this a lot, and blinders ask this a lot, so figured I'd just make a video about it because there doesn't seem to be any on YouTube right now. So yeah, tip number 1 is to establish good memo techniques. So generally that means just using letter pairs to memorize the stickers on the cube. You can make words out of them, stories, make images. You can also place those images in rooms, which might be helpful, especially if you have problems with like memo overlapping from previous solves, which I've heard some people have. Also just audio pairs. Like personally, I memorize the corners using words and memorize the edges using audio pairs and execute in reverse order, so that I have the short-term memo followed by the long-term memo. As long as you use letter pairs and make something meaningful out of them, I think you have some decent memo techniques. I guess the exception is that like when memorizing stuff like edge flips, you can just kind of memorize, oh, there's this like edge flip like up there or something. That's kind of what I generally refer to as like visual memo. Same thing with like corner twists. You can just kind of just see, oh, it's like a corner twist facing that way and one facing that way. But for pretty much everything else, like letter pairs is the way to go. And if you're not too sure how to memorize using like letter techniques, then just check out like example solves of people using them and you'll get a good idea. So yeah, tip number 2 is to measure your splits. I use a CS timer, so it's like a function where I think it says multi-phase timing or something. Set it to 2, so just memorize the cube, then press space or something, then it will split the time, then you can start executing. It's just a way to like measure like your memorization time. Yeah, if you want to improve your memo, obviously it makes sense to just measure it so you can tell whether you're improving or not. I pretty much use this for like every blind event, even free blind recently. The only time which I wouldn't measure splits is during comp simulation where I'm using stack math, so I can't. At least I think you can, maybe you can, but I haven't figured out how to. So definitely do that. Like, if you don't measure like your memo time, then it's kind of hard to tell whether you're improving or not. And tip number 3 is solve faster. This is not the most, I guess, intuitive tip, but I mean like memorizing the cube is just kind of just part of the overall process of blind solving, and like all the parts of blind solving are kind of interconnected in one way or another, and just simply just solving faster or executing faster kind of help your memo, because like the faster you can execute the cube, the less time you have to hold the memo for. And I generally find that memo and execution kind of fall down hand in hand in terms of time. So if you're having trouble just getting your memo faster, it might be worth looking at just executing faster. Tip number 4 is dealing with bad letter pairs. So you might come across stuff like, I don't know, QX, and you're just like, excuse me, what the fuck? How do I, what can I make use of this letter pair? I recommend for those weird cases, just make a list and just like go through each of them individually and make a word out of them. There's some ways you can go about this. Like for example, for pairs like XI, I make the X like an SH sound. So in that case, I think of Shia LaBeouf because his name starts with the she sound. XY, I have Shaman, the Pokemon. I use Y instead of Q, that's why I'm mentioning Y. You can also get more imaginative, like for example, IY. I actually think of a slingshot because if you put the I and like the Y on top, it kind of looks like a slingshot. So be creative. Like the main objective is that like you can just see the letter pair and just recall it pretty quickly. And tip number 5 is to learn how to deal with distractions. So you're at home, like if your fan's blasting some heavy Asian karaoke or some massive lawnmower, lowing lawns. Some things you can do is just like listen to some chill instrumental music over the top, or even just like rain sounds, which is what I do in my Road to a Record series. Of course, you can just go with like some earplugs or earmuffs, which are your only options in competition because listening to music is illegal. It's against the law. Yeah, I know some blinders don't use this, like these at all, like Factility for instance, but I tend to favor using earmuffs in competitions. Also, I guess if you already know that your competition is going to be in a noisy environment, perhaps trying to simulate those conditions can help you out.
When you hear me say blindfolded, you gotta go, okay?
But yeah, that's about it. So let me know if you found this helpful and you'd like a part 2, because I have some other tips and tricks up my sleeves. And subscribe if you want more educational blind content and other hot stuff like world records, although Factility kind of destroyed the free blind record, so that's kind of hard nowadays. I'll get multi someday maybe, who knows. But yeah, see ya.